Today I'm doing a retrospective of the LEGO theme of Hero Factory, just the theme as a whole. Um, I think I've probably mentioned on my channel before how when I was growing up I thought Bionicle seemed cool, but I wasn't sure where to get into the story or the sets. And also, by the time I was getting old enough to be interested in Lego sets, Bionicle was kind of coming to an end and Hero Factory was starting. So that's probably a lot of why I became more interested in. I have more Hero Factory than Bionicle sets. Um, they started off with sets like this. You'd get the hero in a canister like this, stackable, and um, and the color top of each canister matched the main color of the hero. Like Bulk's canister has a silver top, and Stringer's canister has a black top. And at this point, the heroes had pretty simple builds. It didn't have very many pieces. Each of these sets just had 17 pieces in them. And they didn't have a whole lot of articulation either. This was the main piece they used for the joints of the heroes. It's just one piece. And I didn't realize it at the time, but the heroes had basically the same builds to each other as far as their bodies were and stuff. But of course that didn't stop me from wanting to collect multiple. The villains had some other aspects to them. They were less similar than the heroes, and a lot of the time they also had knees and elbows, unlike the heroes. And these are the only two Hero Factory sets that I have together at the moment. This guy, Von Nebula, was the main villain of the first year, and was one of, if not my most wanted Lego set for some years. And he implements a lot of Bionicle-like techniques in his build. The villains came in boxes, and I think were a little more hard to find, generally, than the heroes were. Also, a lot of time more expensive, with I assume, with the more complex builds. Going on to the 2.0 series, this is where I first became interested, because this set, Breeze 2.0, was probably one of my first ever Lego sets. Not my very first Lego set, but one of the first few Lego sets that I got. And the 2.0 heroes had a lot of improvements over the 1.0 heroes. Well, first of all, changes with the box. All the tops had this orange pattern. Instead of each hero having a different pattern, they all had the orange top. One big improvement was the joints. They implemented a new system that allowed for elbows and knees, and the new armor pieces attached by the same ball joints that everything else attached to, so it was offered a lot more customization armor-wise. And they also jointed the socket design. They had this sort of socket design where it was squared off, and that socket design was somewhat brittle, so they updated it into this rounder socket design that was much less brittle and could last for longer. And the armor pieces had multiple layers, like they had these places where you could attach pegs and pieces, like for a secondary armor, and that's what they did for the chest pieces. And the head pieces too also used a similar technique to have a lot of customization in the head design, which I really liked. And Um, I'm proud to say I got every single set from this Hero Factory 2.0 wave, the fire villains. The fire villains themselves, though, were uh, pretty tricky to find. I don't know that my local store ever got them. Jetbug and Nitro Blast I got while traveling, and Drill Dozer and Fire Lord were like the last two sets that needed to complete that wave, and it took a while before I got those. They did introduce two new heroes in this wave. They introduced Evo and Nex, with the caveat of not releasing sets of Bulk or Stringer, but it was cool to see some new characters. And they also had combo models that you could build if you got the right heroes. And the 2.0 wave, yeah, it was a big improvement, and it was pretty cool. Next, they went on to the 3.0 series, where the theme was like jungle and animals. And I don't think I ever saw the 3.0 sets in stores. I'm not sure if it's that my local store never got them, or if it's that I didn't happen to be going out shopping at the time. I'm not sure. But I only ended up getting 3 sets from the 3.0 wave. 2 heroes and 1 villain. All I got them online. They introduced one new hero again, Raka. And the 2 other sets I got from this wave are 2 of my favorite Hero Factory sets in general. One is Furno 3.0. I think is the best looking design that Furno has had. And the other one was Scorpio, this big scorpion build, which I also thought looked very cool and had a pretty unique build to it, including introducing this piece, which at the time I thought was pretty revolutionary because it allowed you to attach a ball. It had 2 sockets instead of a ball and a socket, so you could attach like a ball and a ball to either side, make new connections that weren't possible before, unless, well, I guess it was kind of possible. You could use 2 of these and attach them together with a Technic pin, but then you get it kind of offset. This way it's not offset, and you can even attach another bone piece or armor piece onto it, so very nice piece. Oh yeah, one other improvement that the 2.0 system implemented, this is still relevant because the 3.0 heroes used pretty much the same structure as the 2.0 heroes. You may even notice the chest plate designs are exactly the same. It uses the same headpieces. Aside from the whole animal motif, it was very similar to the 2.0 heroes, but I'm not complaining with that. I thought it was a good system. One other improvement that the 2.0 heroes had over the 1.0 heroes is, well, actually, no, this is the drawback. The 1.0 heroes used this piece for the body design, the 1.0 heroes, and it had a somewhat interesting shape. You could and some Technic stuff to attach armor to and things. But from the back, I think the 1.0 heroes still looked good because they still had this somewhat smooth look to them. The 2.0 and 3.0 heroes used these body pieces, which had more connection points, but you could only attach armor on one side of them, really, as far as the chest plate goes, which means that from the back you see that skeleton, including of the joints. The armor only covered one side, and you see the skeletons, so they didn't look the best from the back, and that's the main drawback of the 2.0 heroes. Then after the 3.0 heroes, they had this breakout theme where like all the villains had broken out and the heroes had to go and catch them, and that had a lot of changes in the theme, I think, for the better. I think in my opinion, may have been the peak Hero Factory year, because the villains became accessible. Also, they changed the packaging from canisters into these like Ziploc bags, but the villains for once were actually on shelves right next to the heroes, and they were a lot of times the same price range, which was very nice. And they came in varying sizes. And this was the first time since the first wave of sets that we actually got sets of every single main hero character, which was cool, even if not all of them got time on screen. And then after... Oh yeah, they also modified the building structure a bit. Each set was a little bit more unique. They went back to the 1.0 style of heads, and came up with some new armor pieces and weapons and things. I think the heads, these heads are less customizable, which I'm not as big a fan of. Also, the hero cores in this wave all look like this, all of them. And one aspect that I liked of Hero Factory up until this point was how every hero came with a different color of hero core that matched the color of their head. But here, every hero core looked exactly the same, which is a bit of a downgrade, I think. They did have a code on the back of them that you could use in some online game, but I don't think I ever did that. After Breakout, they had this Brain Attack sub-theme, I guess, where they had a bunch of these little evil brain guys taking over some wild animals, and the heroes had to fight them. And come to think of it, let's see, how many sub-themes did Hero Factory have? 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 6? That means like half of them, they end up fighting wild animals. That's kind of interesting. The 3.0 series, the Brain Attack, and one other, which I'll get to. The Brain Attack theme continued a lot of what the Breakout sub-theme started with, having the Ziploc bag packages, having more unique builds, and having accessible villains, which was pretty good. And last of all was the Invasion from Below sub-theme, which I think it's widely agreed upon that it was not like one of the worst themes of Hero Factory. I don't think it was too bad, but I do agree it had its problems. Again, it had the Ziploc bag packaging and a variety of builds, which was good. But the idea with this theme is the heroes are fighting these big kaiju type beasts, and so, like as shown in this, well, either of these sets really, the heroes were these minifigures now, and they were utilizing these mechs to battle the beasts. And we did get every single hero in this this time around, which was nice to see, but they're smaller. They're minifigure scale. They're not this scale, which in my mind meant that I couldn't play with the Invasion from Below sets and the old Hero Factory sets at the same time because they were a different scale, and that was the biggest drawback, I think. Plus, as far as the story goes, Invasion from Below did not follow up on any of the unanswered questions or cliffhangers that Breakout and Brain Attack built up, which I know it was for like it was somewhat of a disappointment in that regard. But the sets were fun still, and the TV episodes of it were still cool. Let's see. But Yeah, I agree that it probably wasn't the best ending that Hero Factory could have gotten. With how um Breakout ended, I would have really liked to see a Villain Factory arc, which in a way is what Brain Attack was, but also not really. But yeah, Hero Factory is cool. Um, I think it offered a great accessible way to build action figure type builds out of Lego, and the system that it used, the character creature building system CCBS, is discontinued as of now, but you do still see some CCBS type pieces like this socket piece utilized once in a while, and the ball and socket joints are still used sometimes for system sets, and they've been built having those uh, Marvel and DC buildable figures. I'm not as big a fan as those personally because I liked how Hero Factory was an original Lego theme. They did release a few DC characters in the Hero Factory building style, but I never got any of those because I wasn't as interested in them. But uh, yeah, again, that's the retrospective of my retrospective of the Lego Hero Factory theme. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.